In this video, we will take our first look at the Gradebook tab in GradeBookWizard. To get to the Gradebook tab, go ahead and click on the Gradebook link on the main page after you've logged in. The Gradebook displays the grades that you've entered so far for the selected class and the date range. You can choose which class it displays using the drop-down at the top of the page. Right now I'm looking at my 4th period English Literature class. I can also switch to another class by choosing it from the drop-down. So I'm now looking at my 3rd period class, and I also have a 5th period English Literature class as well. Let's go back to our 4th period class. The dates drop-down displays the active grading period. So right now I'm in my 4th 9 weeks, so towards the end of the school year. I can go back and look at previous grading periods by selecting them from the drop-down. So here are some grades entered for the 3rd 9 weeks and the 2nd 9 weeks. Now you'll notice that when I go back to look at these older grading periods, the grade averages are displayed in red. That indicates that these grades are locked and that these grading periods are closed. I can unlock the grade periods by clicking the Unlock Grades button, and that would only be necessary if I needed to make a retroactive change to a student grade. Let's go back to the 4th 9 weeks. So what I want to show in this video is how we can create and grade an assignment in the gradebook. There are 2 ways to create a new assignment. One is to click on the Create New link here in the New Assignment column. And the other method is to click on the Create New Assignment button up here in the light blue field. Each of these methods brings up a dialog window that looks a little bit different. So the Create New Assignment button brings up a dialog window that lets us enter a title for the assignment, some instructions for the assignment, a due date, whether or not we're going to have it repeat. So we can choose to repeat it weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. We get to choose a category for the assignment, grading scale, a max score. We can also choose if you want to use some kind of curving. So basically we can say that we want to adjust the grade so that the best student score equals the max possible score on the assignment. This will generally give students higher grades. We can also enter one or more links that the students can click on in conjunction with the instructions for the assignment. And these links will hopefully take them somewhere on the web where they can read more about this particular assignment. Now, the other method of creating a new assignment is to click the Create New link. And that brings up a much smaller, more compact window where we enter only an assignment name, a due date, category, grade scale, and max score. So let's use this one for our first assignment here. I'm going to call it Test Assignment. Now, the due date of the assignment is very important. The due date determines which grading period the assignment counts for. Since I'm in my 4th 9 weeks, I want to make sure that I choose a due date that falls within the range of the 4th 9 weeks. By default, it'll show today's date. But this account that I'm working in right now is an account that was set up in 2015. So I'm going to choose a date in 2015 towards the end of the 4th 9 weeks. We'll choose 6/1/15, for instance. And we can choose a category. I'll just make this a classwork assignment. And just as a brief reminder, categories are used to categorize your assignments. You have the option of using weightings for these categories, and that would let you compute grade averages using these weighted categories. There's another video about that topic, since it can get pretty complex when you use weighted categories. If you do not use weighted categories, then the category selection doesn't really make any difference in terms of how grade averages are computed. But a lot of teachers like to organize their assignments into these categories. The grading scale is the default one I'm going to use, and max score I'm going to default to 100. In the right-hand column, you have several checkboxes. And those checkboxes are used to control or set up features rather for this assignment. For instance, if I want to make this an extra credit assignment, I can set the first checkbox. Extra credit assignments can only improve student grade averages. They can never lower them. So that would be good if you want to, for instance, give students a little boost on their grades if they achieve some extracurricular activity or something else that warrants a slight boost to their grades. The second checkbox, include student grades. If you uncheck this checkbox, then this assignment will not count towards the student's grade averages. That's good if you have some kind of assessment assignment that you're giving them in the beginning of the school year, let's say, just to determine what level they're at, but you don't really want it to be included in their grade average. In that case, you would uncheck this checkbox. Allow TA to grade. This checkbox is also set by default. GradeBookWizard lets you set up a teaching assistant with your account, and that TA has a separate login that gives them access to all of your classes, or actually the classes you choose to give them access to. And within those classes, they are able to grade assignments. Now, you can control which assignments they are able to grade using this checkbox. So in this case, we're going to let our TA grade this assignment. The last two checkboxes are publish on class website and show grades on class website. The first one, publish on class website, controls whether or not students and parents can see this assignment when they log in using their own logins to GradeBookWizard. They'll see this assignment in the assignments section on the student parent pages. The last checkbox, show grades on class website, determines whether or not students and parents can see the grades that you have given them for this assignment on their class website. I'm going to leave all these checkboxes in the default settings. And I'm going to go ahead and click on Save and Grade. So I'm now at the point where I can start entering grades. And when entering grades, when working through this list, I can use the arrow keys on my keyboard, just as if this were a spreadsheet, to go up and down. I can also go left and right between the column here to enter a score or a letter grade, and a column to enter a comment. Let's just enter a few grades to begin with here. So let's say that Al Kramer did a pretty good job. He gets a 90, and I'll give him some encouraging words. Good job. And then let's enter some other grades. Unfortunately, Samwise Gamgee did not show up the day this assignment was given, so he was absent. So I'm going to mark him with a £A. £A is a shorthand code for absent. I can also enter these special marks using the drop-down to the left of the field where you enter scores or letter grades. So Frodo was also absent that day. They were probably at the same place. And so they both have now absent. You'll notice that because I selected Frodo's absence using the drop-down, he gets a 0 score here. Actually, once I save, you'll see that this one also translates to a 0 score. You can control through preference settings whether or not an absence counts as a 0 or as not graded. Not graded would mean that it'll have no impact on the student grade average until you either convert it to a missing if they never turn it in, or to an actual grade if they do make up the assignment. So let's continue grading though. So Gandalf, he did turn in this assignment. In fact, he did very well, so I'm going to give him 105. So that exceeds the maximum score for the assignment by 5 points. That means he's getting 5 extra credit points on this assignment. So let me go ahead and put that in the comments here. And I'm sure he'll be happy to see that. And then the other students, we can assume that, let's just for the sake of brevity, we'll assume that they all did equally well. So I'm going to just go ahead and enter 100 and then use the fill button to fill in everyone else. So everyone that still had a blank will now have 100 instead. The ones I already had set up, they have the mark as I entered it, or the score as I entered it. If at this point I realize that, oops, well, actually Albert Einstein, he didn't get 100 after all, I can go ahead and just adjust that to whatever he got. And I'll put a little note here too. Likewise, if I have some other students that I need to excuse from the assignment, they were not necessarily absent, but they're not going to take it, I can do that. This is the same actually as leaving the field blank. So this assignment will not count towards the student's grade average at all. That's probably enough for now. So let me go ahead and save this. And let's see here. So this assignment we just created, we call it test assignment. So it's showing up here in the 4th position. And you can see that, first of all, my 2 absences, they both show 0%. So both Frodo and Samwise are showing a 0 here. Gandalf gets his 105, and Stuart is marked as excused. These little pads here indicate that there's a comment, and unfortunately, let's see if I can click on it to make it show up. Yes, I can. So you can see the comment here. Good job. The comment also shows when you hover above the notepad, but that does not capture on this recording, unfortunately. So that was one way to work with the gradebook. Let's take a look at another way to work with the gradebook. I'm going to switch to one of my other classes. Let's go to the 3rd period class instead. So here I have 3 assignments as well. And instead of entering grades assignment by assignment, I can click on this Grade All button. This puts the gradebook in a mode where it behaves like a spreadsheet. So I can now enter grades for any assignment and any student. So if I want to enter grades by student, I can do that. So Deshaun here gets 100, 100, and 100. Perfect scores all around. Vanessa, not quite as good, so 90, 90, and 90, and so on. If I want to skip down a few, I can do Kayla, 99, 99, and 100. So let me go ahead and save this. So as you can see, we now have these grades entered into the gradebook for these students. Now, if you look at the grade averages displayed here, you'll see that Deshaun has 100% with 200 points counting. But there are 3 assignments here. Well, this last assignment is marked with an NC tag, which means no credit. So this assignment is excluded from the student's grade average calculation. It's there for your reference, but it does not impact student grades at all. So only these first 2 assignments at this point actually are included in the student's grade averages, as you can see here. So let's go back again to the 4th period class. And I want to highlight one final thing here in this video. So for these 2 students, Frodo and Samwise, that each received a 0, they will actually receive now an email. And this email will go out to their parents as well. So GradeBookWizard has the ability to set up rules for generating automatic emails that are sent out to both students and parents when grades fall below certain parameters. In my gradebook, I have it set up so that the program will send an email and a message whenever a student receives a grade below 70%, as you can see here. I have some other options. I could choose to send it only when a student has a missing assignment, a missing, incomplete, or absent assignment, for all grades. So this would generate an email every time you grade an assignment, no matter what the grade is. I don't recommend using this option. It will bombard your students and parents with emails. And then finally, I have the one below here, this one, for grades below 70%. Now this 70% threshold is configurable in the preferences section, so it doesn't have to stay fixed at 70. You can choose it to be anything you like. One thing you can do here, once you have your grades entered, for purposes of record keeping, you can click on the Print Grades button, and that will display, eventually, a PDF that you can print out, and it's basically your gradebook as represented in a format that is suitable for printing. And you can also save your gradebook to file by clicking on this button, Save to File. And that'll prompt you, actually just saves, goes ahead and saves that as an Excel file. So that's it for this video. There's more coming up in subsequent parts with more details on the gradebook and more advanced features on the gradebook.